Okay, I need three volunteers today who would like to give their PowerPoint presentation. You'll do it? Okay, and so you are, yeah, okay. And your first name is Sunat? Wait a minute, no. I'm just asking what your first name is. Sunat is your first name? You go by Monica? Okay, yeah. I'm not quite ready yet. Okay? No, not two more people, okay? Who else would like to volunteer? Give our presentation. What? What? Oh yeah, you never did. Did you finish yours? No, you didn't. Okay, so yeah, well you'll be number two. Yeah. So you are my turn here. Okay, and I need a third volunteer. Are you going to volunteer? Yeah. Okay, and so you are Sylvia, Hector Sylvia? Okay, so we will start off with tech. Okay, so Monica, okay? Monica Tech is going to tell us about SanDisk, okay? Okay, Monica, come on up.
Oh, yeah, I was just playing around. Okay, you ready? Okay, hi, my name is Monica, and I did my company on. My name is Monica, and I did my company on Canvas. Okay, so SanDisk was established in 1988 by Dr. Eli Harari and Sinai. I probably butchered their name. Yeah, they started in 1988. They got together and they founded something, and they decided to build the world's largest American multinational corporation that creates and mass-produces flash memory technology products. And they're really popular as well. And if you want to know, this is Dr. Eli Ferrari and Mr. Sanjay. I can't say that. Okay. A little bit about that their products are very high capacity. They're solid state, they're non-volatile flash memory devices, and they do comply with industry standards. Oh, you can't see it. No. Okay. A cool thing about SanDisk is that they have lowered the cost of flash memory by 50,000 times over the last 20 years. And lastly, after 25 years of the company being established since 1988, they are still growing, expanding, and they do pretty well for economy because they hire over 4,000 employees, so pretty good for and if you wanted to know the things that they make, one of them is pretty popular. I'm pretty sure all of us knew. USB flash drive, portable, it's easy, plus size. You can put a lot of files, documents, anything that you want on your flash drive, then you stick it in your computer, and then you can import it and export it to there. There's also a thing called the SD8C card. You put in your camera, depending on how many gigabytes you buy, the card you can store to pictures on your phone. And the micro SD8C card that's in your phone stores all your files, your pictures, and once again you can import it to your computer from your cell phone. Um, and a really cool product that Sandus is releasing is called the Ready Cache. And what it is pretty much an enhancer for your computer. It boosts up your desktop. Um, Setting and restarting it performs a lot faster. And it's pretty affordable too. It's not expensive as you think it would be. And lastly, what I found was really interesting was that they're coming with this really thin, very USB flash memory drive, and you can store a lot of stuff on it. I don't know the exact gigabyte or megabyte. I didn't know about that. But once again, it's also affordable. So SanDisk makes affordable parts for their consumers and makes a good job of it. And that's it.
I think you got some points counted off on the written part because of all the text, okay? Like this slide right here, this much text on the slide is not good, okay? You need to just somehow bottom line it, okay? Instead of writing it's certain products or high capacity solid state non-volatile flash memory devices that should comply with industry standards, okay? You just need to say something like, okay, non-volatile, you know, high capacity solid state non-volatile flash memory, okay? And you just say the rest, okay? And then it's just say develop flash technologies, okay? To say price, reduced 20,000 times, okay? And you have to bottom line it, okay? And don't use complete sentences. Okay, so now we're going to have Turner Harris. Now, tell me what you did. You did something special here. What was it? Well, to use this right here, is there any problem about using this? Okay. Okay. So that, really? Hmm. You can really kick me off here. Okay, well, you just log in. Okay. Here. That's all right. All right. Let's see here. Okay, I'm Turner Harris. I did my project over at VMware. They do server virtualization and other cloud products. Uh, they're traded on the New York Stock Exchange under VMW, and their CEO is Pat Gelsinger. Once again, they do server virtualization, which is essentially a way to take a computer or a server and then split it or compartmentalize it. So essentially, you can run two different computers on the same machine. And I have a brief video that explains all that. And I won't play the whole thing, like a minute of it. Oops. That's the very end. I don't know what happened there. Something's wrong. What's going on here? I'll skip the video since I already played it last time. 86% of all large-scale enterprises use server virtualization, and 84% of those companies use VMware products. They have a huge portion of the market share, and I'll go over a couple of big significant events in their company history. They were founded in 1988 in California, along with a lot of the other technology companies. In 2004, they were acquired by EMC. I think they're a chip maker. Can you correct me? What is it? What is EMC makes chips? Chips. Yes, they were acquired in 2004. And in 2008, they partnered with Cisco to make joint data centers, and that was like a pretty big accomplishment for them. Cisco was a giant, I guess, in their market, so partnering up with them gave them a pretty good business advantage there. In 2011, they founded a platform as a service called Cloud Foundry. It's just a way, it's kind of like a platform for people to code cloud software essentially for their business, and it's like an open source thing that they own it. And that is my story about VMware. All right. I don't know what happened with the video. It played last time. Let me play it again. Yeah, not working. Okay. I'd like to say a word about virtual memory, virtual machines. going back to say the late 1960s, early 1970s, IBM had this operating system, the main IBM operating system. The main IBM operating system was called MBS, okay? Um, and then um, there was a second operating system just called VM, okay, which stood for virtual machine. So if you ran this VM operating system, each user in this VM operating system had an individual machine. This individual machine was basically provided by software, and so you could be running one operating system on your machine while somebody else ran on theirs. And so this was the first, I guess, example of this virtual memory technology. This is used by Java. In Java, what one has is on your machine, when you bring up Java, or when you run a Java application, there is basically a virtual Java machine. Okay? So basically it runs this virtual Java machine. The virtual Java machine runs the Java applet, Java application, which has been loaded down to it. So it's an important technology, virtual technology. The last presenter today is F12. So Capcom. Okay, Hector, you're up.
Hmm? Let's go over there. Okay. Alright, well, my name's Hector. Hi. And my company was Capcom. Which one? Let's in this. Nope. That's totally incorrect. Alright, well, in 1983. Tuck that away. Alrighty. Well, in 1983, Capcom was established by their parent company, Sandai. That was their first initial success was the Mega Man series, which actually released in 87. That was the first Mega Man. They didn't actually see full commercial success until Mega Man 2. And then that one. And after that, they had why is it not clicking? There we go. They had Street Fighter 2, which was their second biggest hit, which is actually their largest hit to date. After that, there was the Resident Evil series, which was 1994. And then another one that they did that actually did very well was X-Men vs. Street Fighter, which later became Marvel vs. Capcom. That was in 1996. Like I said, in 83 was the first release of the first Mega Man game. After that, it was it had good reviews, enough to make at least a sequel. So that's when they made Mega Man 2, which is where the series kind of took off. So after that, there have been, I think it's 15 different spin-offs and sequels, again, together. After that was Street Fighter. As it kind of happened the same with Mega Man as it did with Street Fighter. The first game just kind of got some success, but they didn't actually see full success until the second one. That's when any and everyone would play it in arcades. And even when it switched to home consoles, it actually did, amazingly well, and it still does very well today. And it inspired 18 different spin-offs and the subsequent games. So you can pretty much tell how much money they just made off this one series. All right, after that, there was Marvel vs. Capcom. It started as X-Men vs. Street Fighter. It later became larger, so they incorporated more characters from the different ones. The first one did well. The second one did pretty much amazing. It was actually regarded as one of the highest rated games in fighting game history. It's even on a website that I found, it was known as the plethora of the genre, the fighting game genre. Pretty much, you can't really get a better game than this one, according to most people, because well, it's really good. It's really hard to explain it. Okay. And recent ones, I don't know if any of you have played it, but the new Resident Evil 6 is out. They're also remaking an old series of theirs that they had for their original PlayStation, which is Devil May Cry. It's pretty much kind of future, different universe type of deal. And then they're even releasing the old Marvel vs. Capcom games to the PS3 and Xbox Live through Marvel vs. Capcom Origins. They're also releasing Origins 2 early next year. And then, actually, all I had left was just sites. Oh, good. Those are 3 good presentations. I'm going to give everybody a 30, 30, 30. So, remember there's 70 points for the written part and 30 points for the verbal part. So all 3 presenters today are going to get a 30. That was good. So next week I'm going to be asking for some more, volunteers. So you thinking about volunteering? Okay, so let's see. Today I want to cover a couple of issues that are in the textbook and have a PowerPoint presentation. One issue I want to talk about is the issue of privacy. Of course, privacy has always been an issue in government. But those who come from the English, tradition, have the notion that, there's this old maxim that a man's home is his castle. In England, the development of this tradition was such that even the King of England, could not invade a man's castle, without due process. And so the computers in the computer age has just amplified, this problem of privacy. And so back in 1974, the U.S. passed a law called the U.S. Privacy Protection Law. And it was to clarify what privacy is in a technological age. It addressed things like wiretapping. It addressed things like keeping files private, and so forth.
And so let's just look at this U.S. privacy protection law here for just a moment. So it's so let's see if we can find a good Wikipedia here. Here's one, Privacy Act from 1974. And so this goes over it, okay? And so basically, it's talking about government agencies, okay? It's talking about Big Brother, watching you. And it basically says that agencies of the U.S. government, of course, they have information about people. And it basically says that agencies are not supposed to disclose this information without the prior written consent of people. But it accepted things like, for statistical purposes, the Census Bureau, Bureau of Labor Statistics, okay, and congressional investigations and other special exceptions. Then in 1988 was added the Computer Matching and Private Protection Act of 1988. This amended the Privacy Protection Act of 74 by adding certain protections, okay, on the subject of privacy records, okay. And you probably get letters now from companies you do business with. I mean, like you do business with a bank. The bank will send you periodically a letter saying, we are protecting your privacy, and we will not do anything with the information we have about you except the following. Okay? And so you're supposed to know exactly what each company that has information about you will do. So then there were some exemptions to it, okay? The passenger name and of arrivals and departures and immigrants. And all this came about because of the 9/11. So here's President Ford signing the U.S. Privacy Protection Law in 1974. And then here is President Bush signing the privacy invasion laws. Okay. So after 9/11, the government wanted to have expanded abilities to invade privacy. So this is in direct contrast to privacy protection. Okay? And so these privacy invasion laws basically allowed the government, to, in certain cases, invade privacy and to do things which were strictly prohibited by the privacy protection law. All this had to do with immigrants, And so let's look at the Patriot Act again. Under this Patriot Act, we're worried about terrorist attacks on the United States and sabotage. So basically, the U.S. Patriot Act allowed the government to do intelligence, to do investigation of foreigners that it suspected might be terrorists. And this made I guess, the treatment of people visiting the United States less desirable than it had been before. As a result of all this, I mean, visas, I mean, countries that previously had not had to have visas now had to have visas, and so forth. And so there was a lot of retribution from foreign countries. Okay, and well, if the U.S. is going to do this to our citizens, so we're going to do it to their citizens too. Okay? And so it put the idea of privacy versus the idea of tracking terrorists. Sort of. We know today there's a lot more surveillance. How much surveillance do you think you undergo here at the University of Houston? How many cameras do you think that are around here taking pictures of you just as you wander around the campus? What? 1,000? A lot, anyway. Okay. Outside there are cameras. And actually, this has caused some good research for computer science departments. Okay? And the kind of research that, in fact, we do that here, some of the professors in my department, and it's like this. You have, say you have a camera over here somewhere. There's and it's tracking somebody, and then you have another camera over here somewhere. Then as this person is walking along, okay, then this camera here can see this person up to a certain point, okay? And then ultimately that person exits the field of view of this first camera here, okay? And then shortly thereafter, or maybe immediately, okay, it enters the angle of view of this camera here. So the research is for the computers to, in real time, match, okay, these people, okay? And for the computer to know that the person that just entered here, okay, was the same person that left, okay, this other camera just slightly before. That way you track people over bigger distances. That's been fairly successful now, research. So, data mining, remote video, and audio monitoring. GPS, okay, and RFID. What's GPS and what's RFID? What? GPS is a global positioning system, okay? And what's RFID? Yeah, radio frequency identification, okay? And this is like the little tags you put on your auto. If you get Easy Tag, you put it on your windshield up there. That's a little radio you just put up there, right? And it's just thin as everything. Okay, yet it broadcasts radio waves. It's amazing, to have devices that small and that don't look like radios. They can broadcast radio waves. They're not very strong, but they're strong enough to, if you get close to, the receiver, as you go through the toll gate, it'll identify. Now, there's a lot of talk about behavioral targeting, okay? And behavioral targeting is a little different from ethnic targeting, right? Behavioral targeting is if somebody is acting strange. This is another ground for research in computer science. If you have a camera or camera is tracking somebody, how do you have a computer determine what might constitute strange or unusual behavior, or I might send up a red flag that the person that you're observing here might be up to no good. Okay? And the things that they look for are things like this person keeps coming back to the same place. Okay, different times of the day, they're just looking around. Okay? Why is this person coming back to the same place? You know, and looking around. Target shaping is, you know, something that's, you know, this is if some company is in charge of setting up schedules or something, and it doesn't give everybody equal treatment. Okay, that's called target shaping. Okay? And so in 2008, I guess Comcast came under scrutiny, okay, for target shaping. Transparency is when you write your life story on Facebook. Okay? I mean, some people just put everything on Facebook. I mean, it's like a diary. Facebook becomes like an open diary, right? And so they say, you know, yesterday I went and I did this, you know, when my friends said, you know. Well, it's not exactly like blogging, but blogging is another area where people, you know, what transparency is when you don't keep anything out. Your whole life is, you know, an open book. You're like living in a fishbowl. Here's a guy right here, and they have these. And what he did was, he has this little camera, and he wears it on his hand, okay? And every day, as he's going along, he's recording that, okay, and sending this video, okay, you know, to, so he streams this over the web. Okay, it doesn't say exactly what he uses just over the web. But basically, you know, this guy, that you see what he sees all day long, you know. And, so that's really an open book. Well, the more you do, then, you know, of course, the more information, you know, is out available on you. And so that's, you know, definitely a problem. So that's it about privacy. So I now want to talk about another issue. And this issue is ethics. Okay. So we all know what ethics is. We're offering, I guess, a couple of courses here this semester about computer ethics, issues of morality, but particularly the way as it concerns computers. Let me ask you this. Suppose you were a computer person, a computer analyst, a systems analyst, and you were working for a company, and you quit this company, and you go to work for another company. What's ethical about what can you take from the old company to the new company? What? think you answered the question. What you can take from the old company to the new company is what you have in your head. Whatever you have in your head is in your head, and that's yours. And but what you cannot take from the old company to the new company is any files, okay, from the old company. You can't take disk, or flash drive, or any, say, written documentation from the old company. Those things you cannot take, okay, to the new company. When you go to work for a company, often you have to sign a contract as a condition of employment. And this contract normally says, what the deal is between you and the company. It says, for instance, that if you quit the company, that you cannot go to work for another company that's in competition for a period of 2 years. And some of the employment contracts say that. So, personal computer ethics, okay. So, personal computer ethics refers to the responsible use of computers by individuals outside the professional environment. Actually, I have been an expert witness on a number of cases, and the kind of cases that I have been involved with is called software piracy. What is software piracy? Well, obviously when you steal somebody else's software. But the cases I've been involved with, and some of them are very, very large cases, are like this. Here's a company, and it has some software product that's very important to the company. Maybe the software product is actually what runs the company. And then some people leave this company, and often these are the people that wrote the software product or maintain the software product. And then these people, say, form another company, and in a very short amount of time, they come up with a competing product. And so let's say that the old company, it took them a couple of years to get their product up and going and accepted. This new company does the same thing, goes into competition with them in a matter of 3 months. Okay? This makes the management of the old company think that, well, they did more than just take the things that are in their head. Right? And so usually the old company will sue the new company in state court for violation, okay, of trade secret. So when it comes to software, there can be an issue of patent infringement, okay? There can be copyright infringement. And there can be trade secret violation. How long is a patent good for? If you get a patent, how long is it good for? No, 15. So patents are good for 15 years. How long is a copyright good for? 99 years. And so these are easily identifiable because patents are something to file with the U.S. Patent Office. Copyright is also something that you file, okay, with the U.S. Now, what's a trade secret? Well, a trade secret is just something that your company knows and doesn't want other people to know. Like, for instance, the Coca-Cola formula. The Coca-Cola formula has been secret all these years, right? And they don't want other people to know how they make Coca-Cola, right? And a trade secret is just anything that the company has treated as a trade secret. So for a trade secret, the company has to tell the employees this is a trade secret, okay? And we don't tell anybody outside the company about this. So these first two matters, if there is an infringement, this has to be treated in a federal court. The trade secrets are in the state court. And most of the software piracy stuff is actually trade secret violations. And so what the old company does, or the plaintiff, it basically goes to the judge and asks the judge to issue what's called a temporary restraining order. And if they're saying, well, this company here, we allege has stolen our software, and we want the company to stop operations immediately. And so if the judge issues this temporary restraining order, it basically puts the new company out of business, immediately until the issue is resolved. Well, it might be 2 years before the issue gets resolved. So these temporary injunctions basically are what's fought over very hard in the state courts. What happens is then you have to have an expert, okay? And the court has to find an expert, and or the companies themselves involved in the litigation can find an expert. The expert in these cases has to look at the software of both companies, and the judge will issue an order called a discovery order, which says to both sides, you give this expert, all the access over to all your, software, the source code, and so forth. And then the expert has to look at both of them and see, if in the expert's opinion, this software has been stolen. Oh, there's Facebook. I saw today that the New York Stock Exchange has been closed on account of the big storm, right? And it opened again yesterday, and I saw that Facebook went down again because employees that had these stock options were not able to cash them in or trade them publicly until yesterday. So yesterday, these employees who had these stock options who wanted to cash some of them in could start doing that, and that caused Facebook to go down a little bit yesterday. What? Well, yeah. Well, that's right. So, government computer ethics, okay. So the government has responsibility to create laws, okay. So, accessible computing providing equal access, okay, to computers and information technology for individuals with disabilities. Okay? Who is this guy right here? Anybody know who that is? This guy right here? Anybody know who he is? He's a disabled person, okay? He's in a wheelchair here, and he has very little movement, okay? Yeah. Stephen Hawkins, yeah. What does Stephen Hawkins do? Yeah, he's a physicist, okay? And basically, very good one. And he talks about Einstein's theories, okay, of relativity and stuff like that. He talks about time and distance and so forth. Green computing refers to businesses and government who utilize environmentally conscious practices in manufacturing use of digital computing. Actually, digital computing is actually a fairly clean technology. The building, okay, and development of computing hardware and software is really one of the cleaner industries. The digital divide refers to the social and economic gap between those who have access and those who do not. And there is a big, a social gap. It's a big divide, okay? I mean, those of us in this class here at this university, we have access, okay, to computers and to the internet. Okay? But there are people, who don't, and don't have the advantages. There are certain actions going on here in Houston, particularly led by Rice University, to be sure that people who live in the poorer parts of town do have access to the internet. Okay, so I guess that's it about ethics. Okay, so today I've talked about two issues that arise because of computers. One is privacy and one is ethics. So the quiz next week, that we'll have 1 week from today, I'm going to cover, those two issues. So please look at these PowerPoint slides. Not just those things, but it will include those things. Yes, 1 week from today. It's the 20th, right? Is that the 20th next week? What? Sorry, the 10th, I guess. The 10th, yeah. So that'll be next week, yeah. Next Saturday, a week from Saturday, yeah. No, a couple of days before. I think that was asked before, and I think we said, well, as late as possible, okay, let's say the 8th, okay. We're not going to make a big issue of that. Okay, so I'm finished with that. And so I have time to get started on telecommunications. Oops. So, what is telecommunications? Electronic transmission, reception of signals for voice and data. So we want to talk about the telecommunications infrastructure, and we want to talk about cellular networks. We want to talk about the wireless data communications, and then computer networks. So telecommunications infrastructure, okay, is hardware and software and protocols that support telecommunications, okay. So we have telecommunications signals, okay, telecommunications media, okay, so telecommunications signals are either analog or digital. So what's the difference between an analog signal and a digital signal? So in a number of areas of technology, it's been the situation where analog technology gave way to digital technology. So what is analog technology? What is digital technology? Well, analog doesn't always give way to digital, okay? But say your watch. Do you have an analog watch or a digital watch? Okay? So you have an analog watch if you still have those little hands that move around again, and the thing is run more or less by mechanical device. Okay. Now even these analog watches will have a battery in them nowadays. Okay, but nonetheless, it's a mechanical thing. Okay. Digital is when you have a watch that just shows you 1:00 for 1 o'clock. Okay, and that goes 1:01, 1:02, 1:03, like that. Okay. But the basic difference between analog and digital is continuous versus discrete. Okay, and continuous signal is it's almost like a philosophical thing. We sort of view the universe in which we live as being continuous, a continuum. Right? The most prevailing model of the universe in which we live is a four-dimensional continuum, right? I mean, it's we say we live in 3 dimensions. Okay, so we've got here X and Y and Z, and we think we can take the whole universe and pick a origin, okay, and then everything can be, everybody and everything is at a certain X, Y, Z position, right? And that's a universal thing, okay? And then if you add this 4th dimension of time, then you can basically, if you track a person's path in this 3-dimensional universe, okay, and then have each point represent a different point in time, then that time becomes like the 4th dimension. And so this path, through this 3-dimensional universe, the time is the 4th dimension. That's the way a good many people view the world we're in. It's a 4-dimensional continuum. But is it really a continuum? That is, for it to be a continuum, what you mean is, say, here's a line here, okay? And here's 0, and here's 1, and here's 2. To be a continuum, it means that every point on that line, okay, exists and is real, okay? So that if a person moves from 0 to 1, you can move to any place in between, right? But it may be that's really not the way the universe is. It may be that the universe is such that there are these teensy little steps, again, teensy little divisions, again. And so at any point in time, you're at one of these divisions, okay? So basically, in moving from, here to here, you don't move in between. You just kind of go like that, okay? And so that it's distinct, okay? And it's discrete. And so if it's a continuum, then that's analog. If it's discrete, okay, it's digital. So these telecommunication signals, okay, are either analog or digital, okay? So analog, we think of the signal as being like this, okay? And a low frequency signals like that. High frequencies like that. A digital signal we think of as being 1 or 0 and nothing in between, okay? You just kind of immediately and instantaneously will go from 1 to 0, and later it will instantaneously go from 0 back to 1, okay? So there's different media for telecommunications. We have the twisted pair, okay? Copper cables, okay? This over here is a twisted pair, okay? Although there's 4 of them there, okay? But basically, there's basically 2 of them. If you look at your normal extension cord, okay, it's has two pairs, right? There's a coaxial cable, okay? Here's a coaxial cable. It has an inner wire, and then a separator, and then an outside conductor, okay? So in a coaxial cable, you have a center wire, and then you have a, the other part is a whole strand, okay, of material, okay, which will transmit electricity on the outside. And then finally, you have fiber optic cables, okay. So the movement, has been going in this direction here, and these fiber optic cables here are really what's coming into play right now. In fact, all these copper cables, okay, that lace, through the world are gradually being replaced by these fiber optic cables. And the fiber optic cable basically transmits an optic signal, rather than electrical signal. So we have the electromagnetic spectrum. And this electromagnetic spectrum is there are various cases in the universe where something will transmit from these signals, okay, these electromagnetic signals. We know the sun and the stars will transmit these signals, and these signals vary in wavelength. Some of these electromagnetic signals have extremely long wavelength. That is, one complete cycle might take a mile or 2 miles, or many miles. Okay? Those are called radio frequency signals, and those are what are used by radios. Okay? Those really long waves have an advantage that they'll go around the world. Okay, and then so you get to the faster ones, that doesn't happen. So the signals that aren't quite as long as these radio waves, okay, are, for instance, microwaves. Okay? They're a little shorter, okay, than radio waves. Then shorter still are infrared waves. Okay? Then here we have visible light. This is the part that our eye can see. so that when you open your eyes and you see something, you're actually seeing electromagnetic signals. Your eye is responsive, okay, to signals which are in a certain bandwidth. You shorten that, you get ultraviolet, okay, then X-rays, then gamma rays. Well, this electromagnetic spectrum, okay, uh, at least part of it, okay, is used, okay, for our telecommunications. Okay? And so what's happened is people have set aside various bands, frequency bands, okay, you know, like the VLF, okay, the LF, okay, the MLF, okay, the VHF, okay, and these different bandwidths, okay, are used for different purposes. Okay? So these very long frequency VLFs, okay, are used, okay, for ships at sea, okay, and so forth, okay, and so that breaks us down then to telecommunication devices, okay. We particularly want to look at network devices, okay, and so we want to understand these different types of devices that are used in a computer network, okay. We want to understand what a hub is, what a switch is, repeater, bridge, gateway, okay? And that's where I will begin lecturing next Tuesday. Okay? So have a nice weekend.